Please, help me. Get me out of here.
A swarm of agents in black windbreakers fills the humid air of Phnom Penh's outskirts. Diesel engines hum. From inside a concrete compound wrapped in razor wire, terrified voices echo a dozen young men and women, clutching phones, wrists still chained to metal desks. The moment is precise, the 14th of October 2025, 4:17 a.m. Local police and U.S. federal agents break down the doors. Their objective isn't drugs or weapons, it's digital gold. In a hidden server room glowing with cold blue light, racks of confiscated laptops still display crypto dashboards ticking upward balances in Bitcoin worth billions. By sunrise, U.S. authorities would announce the largest cryptocurrency seizure in history, 127,271 BTC, valued at 15 billion USD. How did a Cambodian business empire, backed by gleaming real estate towers and royal connections, become the center of a global web of scams and human trafficking? And how could one man, Chen Zhi, rise from local tycoon to the architect of a digital fraud empire before vanishing without a trace? How did it all lead to this? Before his name appeared in headlines alongside words like fraud and billions, Chen Zhi, known in English circles as Vincent, was a symbol of Cambodia's new wealth. In his 30s, he arrived from China and built the Prince Group, a conglomerate that poured money into luxury condos, private banks, and even philanthropic campaigns featuring Buddhist monks and politicians. To the public, he was the face of modern prosperity, a businessman shaking hands with ambassadors, photographed against marble lobbies and gold leaf logos. But beneath the polished image, another empire was growing. Across Cambodia's coastal city of Sihanoukville, glittering casinos once built for tourists had fallen silent after the pandemic. In their place rose something darker: cyber scam compounds. Locals whispered about walled enclaves where thousands of foreign workers were trapped inside, forced to message strangers online under threat of violence. These scams followed a script: charm, romance, then investment, the pig butchering method, perfected in Southeast Asia. By 2023, Chen's network allegedly linked dozens of these compounds under shell companies tied to Prince Group subsidiaries. Through his corporate maze, crypto wallets moved silently, hundreds of millions flowing through Binance, Huobi, and offshore exchanges. Investigators later described it as a pyramid built on stolen hope. At first, few noticed. Cambodia's economy welcomed Chinese investment. Local police rarely questioned the booming construction or the lavish charity galas. Victims sat continents away from retirees in Canada to young engineers in London, all seeing the same smiling photos of Chen on Forbes Asia covers, unaware that behind those glass towers, trafficked workers were building fake trading apps and love stories designed to drain their savings. Yet, every empire leaves a trace. In 2024, cybercrime units in Singapore and the US began connecting threads between victim reports. Hundreds of transfers routed through identical wallets, all pointing back to accounts registered under a single holding firm, Prince Digital Technologies. The facade was beginning to crack. The breakthrough came quietly, not in Cambodia, but in California. In early 2024, a retired teacher reported losing $120,000 to a crypto advisor she met on WhatsApp. Her bank flagged unusual wire transfers to offshore wallets, which led investigators to a pattern. The same wallet IDs were appearing in reports from the UK, Australia, and Singapore. The numbers didn't just add up, they screamed scale. By mid-2024, the FBI's cyber division, working with Homeland Security Investigations, HSI, and partners in Interpol, began tracing the digital flow. Blockchain analytics firms like Chainalysis and TRM Labs uncovered wallet clusters moving through mixers, privacy coins, and exchanges registered under shell companies. Every route circled back to Cambodia's Sihanoukville, and one name kept appearing: Prince Digital Technologies Limited. Investigators discovered that the scam compounds were more than call centers, they were prisons. Satellite images revealed fenced complexes with watchtowers and floodlights. Drone footage showed dormitories packed with hundreds of workers, mostly trafficked from China, Vietnam, and Myanmar. Survivors described electric shocks, beatings, and forced online messaging shifts lasting 18 hours. One victim, rescued in March 2025, told Reuters, "If you refuse to scam, they sell you to another camp." Behind the brutality was the pipeline of money. The scammers persuaded victims to invest through fake trading apps. Once crypto entered their wallets, it was converted into Bitcoin, routed through layers of cold wallets, and aggregated into one massive treasury wallet, ending with 127,271 BTC. Blockchain forensics confirmed that these assets were tied to accounts linked to Chen Zhi's network. The U.S. Justice Department began coordinating a global sting. In September 2025, Operation Iron Veil was activated. Coordinated warrants in London, Hong Kong, and Phnom Penh targeted over 40 suspects. British investigators froze luxury apartments owned by Prince affiliates. U.S. prosecutors in the Eastern District of New York prepared civil forfeiture filings. When Cambodian authorities finally entered the compounds, they seized hundreds of computers and hardware wallets, all showing synchronized addresses feeding into Chen's corporate ecosystem. Yet the man himself was gone. His private jet departed Phnom Penh 2 days before the raid, destination unknown. Within weeks, the DOJ announced the largest crypto seizure in U.S. history. The total, 127,271 Bitcoin, worth roughly $15 billion. The internet erupted. The scale was unprecedented. Commentators compared it to Silk Road, Mt. Gox, even FTX, but this time, it wasn't a dark web market or a failed exchange. It was modern slavery powered by crypto, and somewhere, Chen Zhi was watching it unfold. The courtroom in Brooklyn, New York, was filled beyond capacity on the morning of the 14th of October 2025, when the U.S. Department of Justice unsealed the indictments. Cameras weren't allowed, but sketches later showed prosecutors surrounded by boxes of documents stamped Prince Group Holdings. On the screens, prosecutors displayed the blockchain flowcharts that linked Chen Zhi's empire to one of the most sophisticated human trafficking and financial fraud networks ever uncovered. Assistant U.S. Attorney Jane Kim began with a chilling statement. These were not traders, they were captives. These were not investments, they were thefts, disguised as dreams. The charges were monumental conspiracy to commit wire fraud, money laundering, and human trafficking violations under U.S. extraterritorial statutes. Yet, the man at the center of it all was missing. Chen Zhi, the flamboyant billionaire once photographed with world leaders, was nowhere to be found. Cambodian officials insisted they were cooperating, but insiders hinted that political influence and vast donations had bought him time. The trial proceeded in absentia for Chen, while several executives and technical coordinators under Prince Digital were extradited to the United States. One witness, a former crypto engineer, described in trembling detail how every Bitcoin transaction was approved through Chen's private signal chat. His testimony broke the room's silence. He said money doesn't need borders, and neither should fear. As weeks turned to months, the DOJ's civil forfeiture case advanced in parallel. In a landmark ruling, Judge Ann Donnelly authorized the seizure and U.S. custody of 127,271 BTC, declaring it proceeds of international wire fraud and human trafficking. The value of those digital coins alone exceeded the GDP of several small nations. Still, without Chen's physical arrest, justice felt incomplete. Interpol red notices went out across Asia, and London courts approved mirror sanctions freezing Prince Group's accounts in the city. On financial news outlets, commentators debated whether this would mark the end of crypto's anonymity era. The final session ended in uneasy applause from the gallery, a victory, but not closure. The prosecutor's final line lingered in the quiet courtroom. The empire fell, but its architect remains a shadow. As of now, no final verdict has been reached. Chen Zhi remains at large, facing up to 40 years in prison if convicted. The 127,271 BTC remains under U.S. federal custody, while U.S., UK sanctions against Prince Group and affiliates are fully active. When the news broke, the world's reaction was swift and divided. In Phnom Penh, workers in gold and glass office towers bearing the Prince Group logo found the gates locked and security doubled. Government officials avoided questions. Yet on social media, videos from inside the raided compounds leaked out narrow rooms lined with cubicles, wrists bruised from shackles, phone screens still flashing fake trading apps. For millions who had scrolled past romantic messages or investment pitches from unknown numbers, the horror felt personal. In Washington, the DOJ's press conference became a turning point. Officials didn't just highlight the amount seized. They called it proof that digital anonymity cannot protect crime forever. Financial analysts predicted the case would rewrite international cooperation standards on cryptocurrency enforcement. Exchanges began freezing suspicious wallets preemptively. Even in the bustling markets of Hong Kong, traders whispered about new compliance sweeps, a sign that the invisible world of blockchain had been dragged under daylight. For survivors of the scam compounds, rescue didn't equal freedom. Many carried deep trauma and debt. Some had sold everything just to pay brokers who promised safe jobs abroad. NGOs in Thailand and Cambodia reported an influx of rescued victims needing medical care and counseling. Their testimonies, broadcast in documentaries and podcasts, humanized a crime once reduced to numbers and screens. Meanwhile, Chen Zhi's absence became legend. Rumors placed him in Dubai, then Shenzhen, then on a private island in the South Pacific. His properties in Cambodia stood empty, silent monuments to a vanished fortune. Investigators continued tracing cold wallets, watching as small amounts of Bitcoin moved every few months, silent ripples from a lost empire. Yet beyond the headlines, the case left a deeper mark. For the first time, nations treated crypto scams not as isolated cons, but as industrialized human exploitation. New laws emerged across Asia and Europe, requiring stricter exchange transparency and biometric verification. Financial papers called it the FTX moment for organized cybercrime. In the end, one haunting question remained. If billions can vanish into code and reappear anywhere, can justice ever truly catch up? This case remains unresolved. Future updates, including potential extradition or trial developments, will be covered in upcoming videos.